Welcome to Make It Now with Linda Lang. You know, in the previous couple of videos, I showed you how to make little tiny books. You know, you've seen how to make these. Well, what do you do with them? Well, you put them in a bookshelf. So I made this bookshelf, and it's made out of cardboard. Doesn't it look like a real bookshelf? It's out of cardboard. This one was one I made out of white cardboard. I had whiteboard or something, and I thought, oh, let me see if I can make a white one. It's absolutely adorable. It looks like a real bookshelf. So you put your books in there. Here's another one that I made, and it's got some trim work at the bottom, and then I've got all my books in there. This is just a smaller bookcase, and I'm going to give this one to my granddaughter for her birthday. I also went crazy. I made some more bookshelves, and all made with cardboard. I didn't only make these with cardboard, but I also found some balsa wood. To tell you the truth, I'm not happy about balsa wood shelving because you've got to sand it. It's hard to cut. So I stick to the very thick cardboard. Let's see, this one's made of balsa wood. This one here. This is made of cardboard. This one's made of cardboard. You see, I like them. I like them a lot better. Okay, so it's up to you. If you can cut balsa wood, that's fine. But I just use cardboard. So let's get started. We're going to make this one. Okay, Make It Now with Linda Lang. It's Make It Now. So we're going to make this one. And all you need is a few supplies. And I believe you have everything in your house, especially if you're a crafter. So you need fingernail file, pencil, cutter, X-Acto knife, a metal ruler. Helps to cut alongside. If you use a wooden ruler, you can cut the wood, so it's good to have a metal ruler. And then I use glue. Now this isn't a tube that I put tacky glue in, and you can buy tacky glue. This is what I use. It sticks so good that when I would make a mistake and I try to pull it apart, it won't come apart. It is stuck good. So make sure you put it down at the beginning the right way. You can move it around for just a few seconds, but once it's set, it's set. And then I use spiced berry. I also use, I guess it's red wine, or I use barn red. I just think that the red shelf just looks a whole lot more shelfy. So, yeah, you can do whatever you want, though. You can make colorful. You can make them white. You can add design. You can paint on it. You know, maybe if you give it to your granddaughter or something, they could probably make it more creatively beautiful by adding flowers and stuff to it. But I keep it pretty plain for now because my books color it up. So now I have this cardboard, and I am going to measure out the size of this bookshelf, and it is 4 by 7. Okay, so you just cut out a square 4 by 7 because that's your back. So I'm going to use this grid and my pencil and count over the squares. You can use a ruler if you want, but I like to just use these squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. All right, so now I'm just going to cut down straight. I'm going to go this way because it's easier to use the square with it lined up to here. Make sure you line everything up, and then I can just put it right on top of that grid. Make sure it's nice and straight. You know, it's pretty forgiving, though, if you don't get it exactly perfectly accurate, because some of these are not perfectly accurate. Okay, so there's that. And I'm going to use this and go to 7. And then I'm just going to cut this off. Maybe 3 times on this one. Okay, so there's my back. If you look at it, it's the same size as this. Okay, it's the back. Now you want to make the 2 sides. And that's where this piece comes in. This one that we cut off, we're going to use it. So I am going to make sure it's exactly straight on the top as on the bottom. And I'm going to mark here. Okay, this is 1.5 inches. But first I'm going to cut this off so it's easier to work with. So I'm just going to cut that piece off. I measured down 7 inches. Make sure that it's the same as it was on the back. Save all your pieces. We're going to use these. And now I am going to do 1.5 inches twice. So I'm just going to use this ruler here. 1 1/2. 1 1/2. Draw a line. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing again to do 2 of them. 1 1/2 and 1/2. So I'll draw a line here. If you have a good grid on the bottom, it's easy just to do following the grid line. Okay, let's see. Okay. All right, now I cut it. All right, so what you want to make sure though is that these are the same width. You'll see that I have just a little bit of a lip here because I don't know why I can't do it completely straight all the time. I just can't. So what I do is I just take the X-Acto knife and just kind of trim whichever one goes out a little farther, just a little bit. I don't even use my ruler because the one on top acts as a ruler. Okay, so there's that. Now both are even. Make sure the top and the bottom is even. Yes. And now this is where you get your little fingernail file and you just kind of do this real quickly. Nothing big, you know, just to get the little wild hairs off. The stuff that's sticking out in the back. Now if you'll notice something, I'm going to show you something and it works still. You see how this kind of goes in and then goes in a little bit and out. It's not exactly straight. I don't know why. I cut it straight as best as I can and for some reason it doesn't come out straight. So know that it happens to the best of us. Go ahead and sand these. Yeah. And I like this cardboard too because the balsa wood leaves little splintery things everywhere. I don't know. I don't like splinters. Okay. So since this is just a little crooked, I'm going to put that on the outside. I'm going to put this on my baseboard so that it's perfectly straight. That glues to the back. So before you glue it, here's the secret. Here's a secret. You want to put that on your grid. You lay these whichever side you want to go against the back. And you want to put them next to each other because you're going to draw a straight line across so that you'll know where to place the shelves, right? You want those shelves to be straight. You're going to want to draw your lines for your shelves. And those are 2 inches because your books are around 1.5 inches. Let's take a look at a book here. Yeah, 1.5 inches for a book. So you want it to be a little bit bigger. So if you have bigger books, you want to make the bigger space. So if I use this grid, I'm going to do 1, 2 squares and then just draw a line across like that. And then I'll go 1, 2, draw a line across like that, both all the way down. Now you want to make sure that this is even with the bottom, and then 1, 2, and draw a line across. Okay, then we're going to have 1, 2, 3 shelves. So now the next thing you want to do is now you just start gluing. Very easy. And I use, like I said, I use my tacky glue and I put it in a smaller bottle. So I just put a bead along here. But before I continue my gluing, I want to put something under here to protect my table. I get glue everywhere. I get so excited that I get started and I don't stop to do the glue properly. Okay, so there's this. And it dries clear. And then you take this cardboard, make sure you match it with those lines and set it up. All the way to the edge of that back cardboard. You want to use your finger. If you have a little bit of a ledge sticking out, that's quite all right. But go as far as you can to that. And then I just take a couple of my little paint things and I make it so it stands up. It stands up straight. Okay, now that's going to glue. Now I'm going to take this one and glue this side now. Now there's all kinds of designs you can do, but once you learn the basics, you can do all kinds of designs. And I like to stick it a little bit and then kind of move it over. And make sure your bottom and your top is lined up. And then you can use your finger to push the glue in a little bit to kind of trim it down, move it over, because I'm telling you, it glues fast. And I'm going to use another bottle. And let's see, what else can I use? And I'll use this. And when you push those together, it goes straight. Okay, so let that sit and I'll be right back. Step 2. It's good to have a nice clean brush too, by the way, because there's some glue that's in here a little bit and you use your paintbrush to kind of iron it down a little bit and getting those cracks and kind of smooth it down like that. I already did the outside with my finger, so I don't need to do that. Okay. Now you want to do the top. So I kind of let those sit there for a minute while I'm working on the top. And by the way, this was a piece that I cut and it was already the perfect size because I cut it off of this bottom here. It was about 2 inches or so, or 1.5 inches, which is the exact size, 1.5 inches, that I need for the top of my shelf. So now I'll take my glue and you know, it's a good idea to keep your glue upside down so it's always ready. Just a little bead right on the inside. I don't do very good straight. And now I just lay it down, match it with the top the best that I can, and go up. If it hangs over a little on the side, that's kind of cool because that's what they do anyway. Or if they're exact, whatever you want to do, you can actually create it to where it comes out farther in the front, go farther in the side, but I just keep it exact, like this one. This one is exact on the top. So now I take this guy and put it here. I use a paintbrush and then just kind of paint the inside and make sure that all that glue is flattened. You didn't see that, but that's what I do. You let that dry. While we're letting it dry, I'm going to show you now how to make your shelves. The shelves are going to fit inside here because you put the cardboard on the upside of the back. You didn't put them on the side, you put it up here. So this cardboard that was left over is going to be the exact width of this back. Measure out my shelves. So you basically put the shelf at the bottom of this because it's like perfect size. However, I want to go on in the inside, so I move it over so that this corner goes inside. Then I look over and I go, ooh, so I have to mark with a pencil this side so that right here, I mark it in so that I could cut this part off so that this fits inside. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to cut it off. And again, if you have a grid on the bottom, it makes it a lot easier for you to do this. Save this piece. You will use it. Okay. Now I'm going to see if it goes inside. Oh yeah, it goes inside perfectly. And I might have cut it too short, but it's okay because it's going to probably, you know, at some point connect to the side. But you want it to be snug but not pushing the board out. It's very temperamental. So now I want to do 1.5 inches of the shelf. 1.5 inches this way. So I'll move 1.5. So let me measure this out. 1.5. 1.5. Now what I do is I cut one out. So much easier. I'll show you why. Because it's going to become my pattern. Like that. So now I cut this one. You can get really fancy with these shells, but I'm just going to show you the basics. Okay. Then you take this one, measure it up, just kind of use it as a pattern. Put your pencil there, and you're going to do 3 of these, and then cut it. And then we'll do it again. Make sure they're together, all squared out. And then I'll cut it. All right. So I have 3 shelves. They're all looking pretty close, really nice. The best that I could. I'm not a good art, you know, mathematician. So you can actually, at this point, sand a little bit, you know, if you need to. Sometimes you don't need to. Just sand a little bit. I don't need to do on this much. Just wherever there's some wild hairs. This is pretty much getting dry. So I'm going to remove these and this. I see a little drip of glue on the side here, right here. Right here, you'll see, I'll show you. Little drop of glue up there in the corner. I'm just going to use my paintbrush and wipe it off. You know, just wipe it off. And I move it a little bit so that it's not stuck to that piece of wax paper. Okay, so now it's all ready to go. It's all like this. You can move it around. And look how long it took. It doesn't take long to set. Now I'm going to use these. And you simply put it inside to make sure it fits, and you line it up with those lines. Now, if it's tight and snug, starts moving, then, you know, you got to cut it. But that fits. So now I want to make sure that this one fits. Yep. And then this one fits. Yep. All right. If you make this too wide, the shelves start to buckle. But I'm going to show you a trick that you can make wider shelves, but the shelves won't buckle. And I have done it in this white one. You'll see how I put backing here. I just put a piece of cardboard right there, and it holds the shelves in place. We'll do that with this. Now you want to put the glue on this side, and this side on the edge, because they're going to be going inside here. These are so fun to make. Once you get one down, you just can't stop. Now this is the tricky part, because if you go down too fast, you're going to get rid of all your glue. So I just I do it straight down on that line, and it does get a little messy, but then I push it together on the ends so that it is straight. And then I use a heavy-duty something on both sides to make sure that the sides are connected to the sides, okay? So that's how you do that. And then again, I use a paintbrush to kind of move this little bit of glue that's sticking out the end. I'll do the next one. Okay, now this last one. Make sure it's lined up with those lines. Except if you eyeball it and you go, ooh, those lines weren't straight. Well, then you just make it straight. I'm going to let that dry. I'll be right back. This is now step 3. Everything's pretty much dry. Since I'm filming, I'm going a little faster. Normally you let it dry for an hour. I only let it dry for 5 minutes. So the next thing is to do the base. We are almost done. We're going to just do the decorative part now. And that's this bottom part. So to you it's the top, but here it's the bottom. Okay, this is the bottom. So you have a couple of pieces left over from your 8.5 by 11 piece of cardboard. And so we're going to use this piece and measure that little bottom part. See this right here? This piece. You're going to make it decorative. And I've also made some mistakes at one point, so I covered up my mistakes by adding trim work. It makes it really cute. All right. So I'm going to turn it back around so I know what I'm doing. Draw a pencil mark there. Now what I'll do is cut. Let's cut this. So it's going to be 4 inches. Of course, we know that. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches across. It's exactly 4 inches across because we're not taking into account the shelf because we're going past the shelving. So you do 4 inches. It makes it perfectly aligned to the back. Okay. Then when I put it on top of here, and then you mark there. You can actually, you know, I'm not a ruler kind of person, but maybe this will be good. So this is 1 inch. 1 inch. All right. So I'm going to make this 1 inch. Yeah. Put it on my grid. Put it at the 1 inch mark. And let's cut. Okay. This piece goes right here. You can actually, if you want to, leave, you know, sometimes you can see the bottoms of the walls of the shelf like this, for example. You see how you see a little bit of the bottom? You can do that too, okay? I go all the way to the bottom. It's up to you. So I go all the way to the bottom. The bad thing about going all the way to the bottom is that it's got to be exactly perfect. Otherwise it gets off balance on the bottom. So now I'm just going to glue this down. And I use this, and I do on the sides. And then up the edge. On the inside. Like that. and then I glue it to the bottom shelf and to the sides. And I use my finger to make sure that it's even onto that shelf. And I let that sit. That's what this little piece is for. You had cut some pieces off. You can use it as a trim work. See how pretty that looks right there? So I measure it with my finger and I just cut the end off. And then I'm just going to glue this right there. It also covers up mistakes. If you have a crooked board, it covers up mistakes. I do a little bit above the bottom shelf because then it covers the edge of the bottom shelf a little bit. It makes it kind of look more professional. The other thing you can do with some of these pieces is you can put a little trim work down here. For example, this one, I put cardboard pieces here and here all the way around. This one, I only put one across and then I did one down. Let's see what I did here. This one is when I just, I was so short, like, oh, I'll add another trim. Doesn't that look cute? It looks like a bedroom cabinet. You can be as creative as you want to. I think I'm going to leave it off. I'm going to be plain Jane today. Okay, so we are done. Would you believe that's all it takes to make a little shelf? However, there's something else as a little added bonus that I don't normally do and I didn't do on this shelf. This is made out of balsa wood, so it's a little sturdier, okay? This is cardboard and these little shelves might be flimsible, a little bit flimsy. So, because I know that this is let me see, how deep is that? That's 2 inches in between. That I'm gonna make 2 inches of this little board so that I can put them in here. You see, how, those look cute in here? With those little boards. It'll actually help your shelving as well. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. Then I put this inside here. I drop it in. I'll drop it in up here because if you'll notice this shelf seems to be a little bowed. So I'm going to straighten it out by pushing this down into there and making that shelf go down a little bit. And if I, or I can just cut off a little bit. If anything, it'll help it not bow any much more than it is. So then I'll put this here. There. It made the top a little bit straighter too, stronger. So then I'll do another one. There. That's how you make a shelf. You let it dry and then you simply paint it. And again, I use spiced berry and you can use berry wine. Now I really like berry wine, but I don't have much left and I found this is kind of close to it. I really like this darker, but whatever you have, you can use brown, white, yellow, whatever you have available. I just happened to go to Walmart and pick these up the other day. So now I make sure all my white, ooh, there's a little bug. There's a bug. That's all there is to making this shelf. I'm telling you, how cute is that? And then it turns into this when you paint it. I use a fairly large brush. It gets in there easier. I can get into the parts better. So I just paint away. There you go. There is your bookshelf.